The Maple Tree. It was a lovely, warm, late summer day. The sun's rays stretched far and wide, touching the world with gentle caress. In its embrace of the earth, the sun shone even brighter upon a large and magnificent maple tree. Birds chirped in the treetops, and bees buzzed busily by, preparing for the arrival of autumn. With a single gust of wind, a small helicopter seed detached from one of the outermost branches of the tree. The seed spiraled down all the way to the forest floor and settled flat in the shadow of a great tree from which it had come. Through the autumn and winter, as daylight turned to darkness and warmth into cold, rain kept pouring over the forest's many trees, softening the earth just enough for the little seed to bury itself deep into the fertile mud. Cold and encapsulated in its own shell, the maple seed now lay in the darkness of the depths, cold and forsaken. It felt so alone down there in the soil that it almost forgot where it had come from. The nourishment it once received from its mother tree had been cut off like a severed umbilical cord. The seed had only itself and its inner sustenance to rely on. One bright morning, the little seed awoke once again to the sound of birdsong and the hum of bees above. It felt warmth seeping down into the ground, reaching through its outer shell. Days passed, and the warmth increased as the seed began to feel a blossoming within. What once felt lonely and abandoned was now filled with hopeful anticipation, ready to emerge into the world above, full of life and joy. As it sprouted and grew, it reveled in the rich soil and slowly peeked out from the surface. "Ah!" exclaimed the tiny sprout as it was reunited with the sun's love and warmth. The maple seedling felt embraced by joy, sensing how the sun almost seemed to pull it upwards in all of its small glory. It was as if the sun were calling it from the sky above. But as time went by and its roots spread, a familiar feeling returned to the young maple. It felt all the warmth and love from the sun, yet the sun was impossibly far away. There was no chance it would ever grow tall enough to reach the sun, it thought to itself. So it stood there, lonely once again on the forest floor, yearning to return home. But now it was too late. A sprout never becomes a seed, and a seed never returns to its sisters on the original branch. Then, one day, it felt something tickling its roots. Soon after, it heard a whisper from below. "Come home, you're almost there," whispered this mysterious being from within the earth. "Who are you?" asked the aspiring maple through its roots. "Who am I?" came the grand response. I am the mycelium network that connects all beings in this forest. I am the Wood Wide Web. I know all the forest secrets, and I felt your longing, so I came to say, you don't have far to go, my dear friend. Confused, the little maple stood wondering at this strange message. There were more questions than answers, and its longing to return to its mother trunk grew as the small plant grew bigger day by day. The more its roots spread through the forest floor, the more the striving maple reached out in every direction, searching for a friend or a way back home. All the while, the mycelium became more insistent in its whispers. Just a little more. Come on, you're almost there. Until one late summer day, just like when it all began, a single small branch from the young tree reached out and touched a large trunk beside it. Curious, it felt with the tips of its leaves and sensed a deep presence from this enormous tree. Maybe it was a new friend, the little maple thought. But at the same time, the old tree was surely too ancient to want to be friends with such a small tree like itself. The huge maple was now ready to let its new swarm of seeds be scattered all across the vast forest. And as it proudly bid farewell to all of its children in what they might one day become, it felt a tingling at the base of its trunk. It's one of my children that has returned home, it thought to itself, and then stretched its nourishing roots towards its dear child. As the two met in their roots, deep within the forest floor, rain began to fall from the sky. The drops fell like tears upon them both, as the little maple now felt the embrace of its creator, of its mother. In a shared intertwining and exchange of nourishment from the great tree to the small, much like a mother giving milk to her newborn child, the little maple felt safe and at home once again. It would never have to let go of its mother's roots again, for they were now reunited, growing together into the two tallest maple trees in the whole forest, towering high above the treetops of all the others. And in this precious moment of unity with the forest and the sky, the little maple understood that love was more than just a feeling. It was a force that bound everything together, a sacred connection that grew like an invisible web between trees and plants. For even though love sometimes seems far away, it is always closer than we think. It simply waits patiently for us to reach out and to realize that it is an inseparable part of our journey. Even when we find ourselves at the farthest edges of life's vast forest, there is always a part of us that will remember the feeling of coming home to ourselves. It simply takes the longing of a little sprout to rediscover the love that has always been part of our innermost core.